What's up, internet? So today I'll be showing you how to take apart the 3D printer. Now the reason why I want to do a video on how to take the printer apart is because most of the modifications I do require you to disassemble at least 2/3 of the entire printer. So my roommate Austin and I, there you go. Him and I will be taking the printer apart. I'll be going step by step through each part on how to take the entire printer apart. I'll be starting with the case, going down to the extruder and the X carriage and the bed and the rest of the parts. So let's get started. Now everyone's printer is going to be a little bit different in how everything's going to have to be taken apart. For mine, of course, I need to take the two pieces that are printed for the filament holder along with the filament out of the extruder before you start disassembling anything, or else cold filaments can be stuck inside your printer but nothing's going to be enabled. So once you remove that, if you have an LCD controller, make sure you take that off as well. And when you reach this step, you pretty much have the same setup for all 3D printers. All you're going to do is use a screwdriver to take off the external case. There's one screw in each corner. So after you get all the screws taken out, make sure they're put in a safe place. If you have a Z-rod stabilizer like I do, a wire chain like I do, or an LED strip also like I do, you want to make sure all these things are disconnected beforehand, so when you take your top case off, these things aren't going to be attached to the top of your printer, because that is probably one of the most annoying things that happens when you're disassembling a printer. So if you have a fully modular system like mine is, you'll have the ability to unplug the limit switches from the left and right side, as well as the motor all the way towards the carriage. So when you lift your entire X carriage up, it'll just lift up over the extruder. Now, if you don't have a modular motor on your X carriage, I recommend you at least try to find one. If you can't, the other way you can get this out is by, while the extruder is still on the carriage, remove both of the linear rods that run the system, and then take a 2mm Allen wrench and undo the set screw for your lead screws. So you can do this two ways. You either can undo the motor shaft itself, or you can leave the coupler on there and undo just the lead screw from the system. If you do the lead screw, there's a potential you might bend your helical coupler. So if you are doing it from the lead screw, just make sure you're being careful. I recommend you do it from the motor shaft so that nothing gets damaged in the process. So once you have all your components off to a safe location, make sure no one's going to be able to step on them or fall off of any high point. So make sure your items are on the floor and make sure they're not in anyone's path. Now, getting the extruder itself off of the carriage is not that challenging. Austin, can you give me a pair of pliers?
Yeah, I got you.
I actually have a tensioner on my axis. So this small little piece right here is actually a spring tensioner. Not all printers have this, but the one that I had came with it. So when you undo the tensioner, it relieves tension on the actual belt itself, and you go over to the motor side, and you actually can run the motor, and you pull up a little bit, and as you pull it, the motor will actually run itself off the belt. And so then the belt will be in your hand. Make sure it's off of the idler gear. And if you can't pull your carriage apart, which I can in this case, but I'm not going to, you can actually push your extruder into the side and it'll make the piece fall off. Now, don't do that with the motor side, because this side has your actual motor on it. If you do it, you might have a possibility of damaging the motor. This piece is just a bearing, so there's nothing vital on this end. So after you get your linear rods off of the X carriage, these are both the ends. Of course, all you have to do is just unbolt screws to get the components off of these, but I'm not going to go that far. So once again, with your components in the safe as possible position so that nothing's going to happen to them, you now just have your extruder and essentially just the print bed. So to get the extruder apart, I have Allen keys in the back. So I just need a 3mm Allen key to undo the carriage. So for the fan ducts themselves, the way that I designed them is that you just pull them apart from each other. And that's screw from the top, don't worry about that. And I actually made the fans modular as well, so if I ever need to do any work on the fans, these are the only wires that aren't physically attached all the way through the wire chain and the board. After you get the extruder tensioner off, Everything else is pretty much just a screw-on part. For the drive gear, you can just hold the left side with a pair of pliers while you actually undo the screw. And that's going to undo the hub bolt, and your gears should fall out. Make sure these are in a safe place as well. For the rest of the components on the extruder, I mean, the extruder gear itself isn't required to remove the actual X carriage. I'm just showing you pretty much the most needed disassembly for half of the extruder, just in case you need to ever do any maintenance work on anything here. So that's how we do it. Now there'll be 2 lock nuts that fall out of your printer. Again, like everything, make sure they're in a safe spot before you manage anything. So after you take the 2 screws out from the bottom, the extruder almost can be pulled out. On the other side right here, there'll be 2 screws actually holding the extruder in place. If you have a newer model of 3D printer from the R1, you might have Allen keys here. It should be a 2mm setup. So after you get these 2 screws out from the side of the extruder is going to try and drop out. And I also have another modular motor on my X carriage, so if I take this apart, this will come with it. So as far as the wires go that are stuck to the printer, I have my X carriage with all the wires being run through, and then just the extruder itself. Of course, I could take the fan off of this, but this is as far as disassembly will ever need to go for the extruder. After the extruder is taken apart, if you need to get underneath the bed, this is how you do it. What I do is I pull the front up first, reach underneath, I grab the ribbon cable from this side, and I pull to the right. When you undo the ribbon cable, this comes out of here, and this is if you have the new ribbon cable. You just take a screwdriver and you just unscrew one portion of the bed. To make sure that this stays together, you're gonna wanna just put the screw back in place, and then undo the belt and pull. The system will come apart, and you have full access to the underside of your 3D printer. We are now going to reassemble the mechanical end of the extruder. But I would not be doing the reassembly, no. My roommate Austin, which has no experience, as far as I'm aware, mechanically with 3D printers, is going to reassemble the entire thing to show you that anyone really can assemble the extruder. So I'll have Austin come over and reassemble the extruder right now.